Hey everyone, it's Mike. I'm back here to do another video. It's been a couple weeks. The last video I did was a really long one, so I guess I needed to rest and recuperate. This one is Vinyl Finds. This is some of the records I picked up in the past couple of months. So let's get started. This first one is an album I've always wanted to get on vinyl. I've never owned this even when I was a kid. I love this album, but I didn't have it on vinyl. My friend across the street had it on vinyl, so I guess that was good enough, and we'd listen to it all the time. I had a couple of the other bands, a couple of the band's other albums, but never this one, and it was always my favorite of theirs. So I was glad to finally, I would see copies of it around at the record stores, but they were always really expensive. Older pressings, I guess, and I was always hoping that I'd find at least like a repress or a reissue or something that I could see myself spending, a decent amount of money, but not too much. And anyway, so this is the album, Black Sabbath's Master of Reality. It's their third studio album, my favorite of theirs. Saw this at my local record store up the street not too long ago and was so happy to find it. Nice sealed, brand new reissue copy. And I was just looking at it and I'm like, okay, this feels like really heavy, and it's just got the however many songs, 8 songs or whatever on here. And I thought, wow, they spread 8 songs over 2 records. That seems kind of strange, but there's no mention of anything else in here. It just was really heavy, and I thought, okay, well, whatever. So I went and bought it, got it home. It had no hype sticker or anything on it saying what was in the contents, and I hadn't read about this particular reissue, so I didn't know. But when I got home, it's got a bonus disc of a bunch of outtakes, studio outtakes and stuff. So I was pleasantly surprised there was just no mention of it on the outer sleeve. So awesome. This is issued on Warner Records and Rhino. Here's the inner. I don't remember my friend when he had this record back when we were kids in the 80s. I don't remember this gatefold. I don't remember seeing that photo. So it might have just been the record on the inside in like a white sleeve or something back in the day. At least that's how I remember it. So the inner sleeves, really nice. These little details, this whole like liner notes story of the album and the making of the album, I suppose. And haven't read the whole thing yet. And then again, the other inner sleeve has the continuation, I guess, of liner notes and details about all the songs that are included here on the 2-disc set. And then the discs themselves here, just black vinyl on these Warner labels, these kind of goldish Warner labels. So really happy to have that. I went and saw them on their last tour, The End, my shirt here, and they played like most of what they played was from the first 3 albums, Black Sabbath and Paranoid, and then Master of Reality. So that was such a treat. Ozzy sounded freaking amazing. Ozzy sounded so freaking good, and he was just on point. He wasn't like forgetting lyrics or anything like that. He was just really just an unstoppable force on stage, and I'm so glad I got to see them on that tour. So anyway, love Black Sabbath, always have. It's really just about the only metal band that I listen to is Black Sabbath. And anyway, so glad to have that finally. This next record, it's a band I love. I've been showing a few of their records, been finding some of their stuff lately. I have a lot of their stuff from way back when, because when I got rid of all my records at the end of the 80s, I kept this band's records for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm glad I did. And this is a fairly recent release on record for them. This is a Record Store Day release back in 2020. This is the Wolfgang Press, and it's called Unremembered Remembered. And what this was a studio session that Michael and Andrew did. The other member of the band, his name escapes me. What was his name? Mark Cox. He left the band back in 1995, and after he left, the remaining members went into the studio and recorded these 6 songs. So that's what this is. It's not new music, it's just music that's just been sitting somewhere in some warehouse, and they finally decided to release it on 4AD Records. The songs sound really nice. I've read people complain about this on Facebook, that it sounds like just a bunch of demos, but to me it sounds like finished music. And this was supposed to be their part of their next album that they were going to do, but since Mark Cox left, the band just kind of fell apart, and so they never released this. So anyway, this was the album that was to be but never was, and now it's on vinyl, so it's really nice to have. It came with the lyric sheet here, printed on this paper, and then it came with an inner sleeve that's got a photo of Michael and Andrew, the two remaining members, and then just some artwork, some cool artwork for that. And again, 4AD Records, the last release from the long since broken up Wolfgang Press, Unremembered Remembered. So glad to finally have that. Oh, it was released on red vinyl. So anyway, RSD 2020, that came out. The next one, this is a band that I have always liked, and wanted to have this. I showed one of their other albums that I got recently, a few videos ago, and this is the other one that I wanted to get. This is Hole, Live Through This. I remember listening to these two albums, this one and the other one, Celebrity Skin. I remember listening to them a lot back in the day, and I've always liked these albums. I'd venture to say I like listening to this music better than I do Nirvana, quite frankly. And I know there's rumors that Kurt Cobain wrote all this music, but I don't know. A lot of people say that that's not true. It's just a rumor. But there's some really great songs in here. I'm not a huge Courtney Love fan as far as just her general, I don't know, just her personality. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, but she's a hardcore feminist, and I do appreciate that. And she does, I think she's a great vocalist. I think she's a great musician. I think she's put out some great work. Violet, Miss World, Doll Parts, great. Softer Softest. There's some really fantastic songs on here. Really solid, great album. Love this. Live Through This by Hole. I saw them on, did I see this? Yeah, I saw them on this tour in Kentucky when I was living in Kentucky, and they were opened by Madder Rose, opened for them, and also Veruca Salt. Great show. And I mentioned on the last video, I guess, that Courtney brought her kid, Frances Bean, out on stage, so we got to meet Frances when she was just a baby. Anyway, Hole, Live Through This. I guess it was released on Geffen originally. I can't see what this is. I think it's the same. Yeah, DGC. Black vinyl. So that's Hole, Live Through This. That was, what year was that? 1994. Next one, and this is, again, I did this last time and I'll do it again. The drummer for Hole started a band after Hole split up, and that band is called Death Valley Girls. And the drummer does not play on this album, but her brother is on this album, her brother Larry. Her name is, I've got it written down because my brain is mush, Patty Schemler. My handwriting's awful. But anyway, Patty played drums originally and started this band originally. She does not appear. This is their third album. I got notes. Jeez, what is my problem? This is their third album. And her brother does still remain with the band, Larry. Anyway, just a little bit of meaningless trivia. I got their last album, the other album that I bought. I really loved it, and was watching them on YouTube perform for KEXP. They did like a live little session on there, and it was different music that I hadn't heard, and it turns out it was all music from this album. So I went ahead and ordered this album off their Bandcamp site, so it was like 20 bucks, and it came with this cool little poster, this little insert poster deal with all the information, and then some artwork on the other side, really cool stuff. And it came on this splatter vinyl, yellow and red. So really cool stuff. I would liken them to like L7. The sound of their music is like L7 and Hole, and just that kind of really cool post-punk kind of music, very female-driven, feminist-driven kind of music, just awesome stuff. So anyway, Death Valley Girls, and the album again was called Darkness Reigns. Darkness Reigns. Check them out on Bandcamp. They don't even have a wiki page. They're like so, I don't know. I went to go look up information on them, and they don't even have a Wikipedia page yet. The next one, another band that I've always loved ever since the beginning. I remember when this album came out, the Cardigans' Life. I remember getting this, and just based on the look and feel of the album cover, I thought, I'm probably gonna like this, and sure enough, I did. Swedish band. This was 1994, 1995, and this is their album Life. It's their second studio album. The first one was called Emmerdale. And this release here, it's on Trampoline, right? Universal, Stockholm Records, and then Universal. And it features the original Swedish release set list or song list. The version that I got when this came out, I got it on CD when it first came out. And it was the US release, and it had a lot of different songs. About half the songs are different than what this is. So I think it's really cool to have the Swedish session, and then our song list, and then I have the other ones on digitally or whatever I can listen to or whatever. But anyway, really cool. I don't know, just dream pop, indie pop kind of, just really cutesy, bubbly, just really sweet, nice music to listen to. Just really fun. They get a lot darker and more serious in their later records, but at this point here is when they were just really just pop greatness. I love Nina's voice, and saw them live, not for this album, for the next album is when they started showing up here in Phoenix, and played in Tempe for their next album after this one. But really great live band, really great band in general. The Cardigans, love them, always will. This is the insert that comes with it, the photographs of the band, the rest of the band, and just the song list, and just on black vinyl. That's what the label looks like. So Cardigans' Life, fantastic stuff. Next one, another band that I saw live in Tempe way back in the day, Blonde Redhead. This is their third album, Fake Can Be Just As Good. I did see them on this tour. They played in a Stinkweeds record store back when Stinkweeds was in Mesa back in the day. I love this band. Their early stuff sounds a lot like kind of like a post Sonic Youth, very, very heavily influenced by Sonic Youth, and they actually started out on Steve Shelley's record label. Steve Shelley was the drummer for Sonic Youth. Really great stuff. They've mellowed out over the years. They've gotten a lot more dreamy and a lot less structured post-punk like they used to be, but still fantastic. I love this album. Really great songs I'd recommend. I don't even see this song list here. Water, Pier Pialo, God, I can't even read any of this shit. They just wrote it and scribbled it. But Casualty, Bipolar, Egomaniac Kid. I'm just thinking off the top of my head what the song list is. But anyway, Black Vinyl, Touch and Go Records, Blonde Redhead. I love all their stuff from start to finish. They're a fantastic band. Definitely check them out. Next one is by The Knife, electronic band out of Sweden. This is their fourth and final album called Shaking the Habitual. It is a 3-record set. It comes out on 2 CDs or 3 vinyl records. Some of the songs are pretty long, so they were, I guess, forced to make this a 3-record release. It's got a big tri-gatefold record set there. Record cover, that is. It's on this pink with like a teal. It's very kind of hard on the eyes, kind of a cartoon motif for the artwork. I'll show this a little slower so y'all can see what it looks like on the inside. So there's the song listing inside there. No pictures of the band. The band's not a very media savvy kind of. They usually, if they show up in public, they're wearing Venetian masks or those bird masks. Because they don't like to be really part of, they're kind of anti-media. Anyway, I've been listening to them for a long time, and I first was introduced, I think because the singer, Karen, it's Karen and Olaf, they're siblings. Karen offered her vocals on a couple of Röyksopp releases, and I thought her voice was really interesting, so I went looking into the Knife and found their Deep Cuts album, and I forget the other names of the other two albums that they have, but I downloaded them. I never had a physical copy of one of their records until this one. I didn't even know that this album was released. I kind of lost track of them, and then I saw, what is that, the Handmaid's Tale show on whatever channel that is. Is that on, what channel is that on? I don't know, but whatever. Handmaid's Tale, I finally watched the series, and I think it's like in the second season, they feature a song by The Knife off of this album, and it is just, God, it's such a haunting, fantastic. I think it was Wrap Your Arms Around Me was the name of the song, and I won't, my memory's not good enough to be able to spell out exactly which scene it was, but it was one of the scenes where the woman was in the hotel and she killed that dude in the hotel. That's about as specific as I'll get, because it's been a few years since I've watched that show. But Handmaid's Tale. So anyway, that brought me to this record, and this album is just, I think, by far their best. It's just very tribal drums. It's industrial music. It's all synthesizers and industrial percussion. And the song that I'm speaking of, the one that I really loved, Wrap Your Arms Around Me, is so like it reminds me of The Creatures, which was the side project of Susie and the Banshees with Budgie on the drums. It reminds me a lot of that kind of tribal drumming. But it's like this really kind of dark and very ominous kind of song. It's just an awesome song, and it really just drew me into this whole album. It's just great. Love this album. This artwork, the artwork that you saw on the cover, it comes also with these two fold-out posters inside, and the one side of the poster is this comic that the band commissioned to have made, and the comic goes into wealth inequality in the world, and how they wanted to basically convey this sense of, instead of looking at the poor and poverty as being the problem with what's going on in the world, we should be focusing on the wealthy and the damage that they're doing, because they're the ones that are the problem, not the poor. The poor are not to blame for your problems, the rich are. So that's the whole concept of this comic strip, and the whole theme of the album and everything was about that kind of income inequality. And so it comes on these three records with these custom labels, all in the pink and teal color scheme. So really awesome. It's supposed to come with a CD too, but the guy who sold it to me didn't have the CDs, and that's fine. I really just wanted it on vinyl anyway. Funny thing though, and I don't know if you guys have ever run across this on Discogs, but this happened to me, and I wanted to bring it up in a previous thing, but now that I'm actually talking about the record that it happened on, this is good that I didn't talk about it before. But anyway, the guy had a make me an offer option on this listing, and so I made him an offer, and I think I asked for like $8, $10 off, something like that. It was, you know, the record was high enough in price to where that amount of money was not, I wasn't asking for like half off, you know, the record was a bit more than that, but I asked for $10 off, and then, or $8. And so he did that. He's like, yeah, sure. And he sent me the invoice or whatever, and I signed off. But then he changed the shipping price, and he raised it up by like $5 from when I made the offer to when he sent me the invoice. And I thought that was really strange. It's like, why are you raising, like, it was set at a certain price when I made the offer. Why are you changing the shipping price? And I looked on his little channel or whatever, his page or whatever of all his listings on Discogs, and he had a lot of triple albums that he was selling, and all the shipping prices for all the triple albums were the same price. But yet mine he jacked up. I'm like, why are you charging this lower price for triple albums, but mine you jacked up? He was just recouping the cost of the offer, you know, coming down on the price. So that was like pretty shitty. So I called him out on it, and he's like, oh, sorry, and he changed the price back to what we originally agreed upon. So anyway, that was just, I don't know if you just watch out for that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Is like lesson learned. Like, I think it's happened to me once before, and I make screen grabs when I make offers with people, or when I make a first buy, because sometimes they'll go back and they'll change the numbers on you in between when you make an offer and all that. So just keep an eye out for that kind of stuff, because sometimes they will raise the price on you to try to recoup the discounted price that they just gave you. Like, oh, how nice of you to give me a discounted price, but then you just made up all that money in you know, raising my shipping cost. So anyway, enough of that. The Knife, Shaking the Habitual, their fourth and final album. Really cool stuff if you're into that kind of music, and I totally am. This last one, another kind of story about shipping and ordering and shipping, basically. This album, I guess I'll show it first because I'm going to be talking for a while and I want to have something to show. This is the third album by the man named Helios Creed. He's a former guitarist for Chrome, and he has a bunch of these solo albums, and this is his third. And my favorite of his, this one and Lactating Purple, are my two favorite Helios Creed albums. And this one in particular I was trying to get, and they had reissued it on orange vinyl, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, I don't really care about the orange stuff, but I just wanted a nice new copy of it so I could have it on vinyl. I'd always had it on, I think I had it on cassette originally, and then eventually on CD, and now I have it on vinyl, thank goodness. But the first time I ordered it through Amazon. This is back in the early days of me starting to buy vinyl again, just a couple years ago. And they sent it to me in an envelope, and I've said the story before about getting records in envelopes from Amazon instead of boxes. And of course, all the corners were dinged and bent in, and it was just a big mess. So I returned it, and they said, would you like us to replace it with another copy? And I clicked yes, and they sent me another copy, again in an envelope. So it was destroyed, so I sent it back, and I just gave up for a while. And then a few months ago, I decided, okay, well, I'm going to try getting this album again. So I went through Discogs instead of Amazon. And the first guy I bought it from bought it, sent the invoice, paid. Everything was fine. And then he reaches out to me a couple days later, says, oh man, I sold my last copy, sorry. You know, big mistake, I guess, on our part, our inventory or whatever. We checked our inventory and we don't have this anymore. So sorry. So he gave me a refund, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So I went and bought it off another guy off of Discogs, and sure enough, same thing. Oh man, went to look on the shelf and it's gone. I thought we had it, and it's gone. And all of these were this, you know, copies of it on the orange vinyl or whatever, these reissues. So then I waited for a few weeks, and then I thought, okay, I'm going to look one more time. So I went on Discogs and looked, and this was like a new listing. And it was an original copy on Amphetamine Reptile Records. And it came with a poster and a press insert or whatever, and all this like stuff that I'd never seen before. So I'm like, and it was like the same price as the reissues that I was looking at. So this was an original. So I'm like, damn, yeah, hell yeah. So I was kind of skeptical about what kind of condition it was going to come in, because I had really bad luck with buying originals on Discogs. They tout it as being VG Plus or near mint, and they're never anything close to that. But this is actually a really nice, clean, shiny copy. The record itself is fantastic. Everything looks nice. The corners are good. It does have a little cutout, little hole punch, which I don't think he mentioned that in his description, but I'll live with it, whatever. It did have a hole punch, but really nice copy. It comes with this little press thing, just kind of hyping the album, basically like a big old hype sticker, but written in long form. And so that was really cool to get. I'd never seen this before. And it also came with this really amazing screen print poster for the album. And it's screen printed, like you can feel the texture of the ink on it. Like they actually did this through like a screen printing process rather than just printing it on a digital printer. So really nice bonus to get this, because if I had gotten any one of those previous 4 copies, I would not have gotten this stuff. So that was pretty awesome. Really flimsy vinyl. Also lets me know that it's not one of these reissues on 180 gram, but Amphetamine Reptile Records, awesome original of Helios Creed. Now about him, I've talked about him, I guess, a little bit maybe with his Lactating Purple album, which I love. I'll show you what that looks like. It's, if you're gonna get Helios Creed, either get the album I just showed or this one, Lactating Purple, because these are by far his best works. So he's kind of hit or miss, Helios Creed. Sometimes you get his stuff and it's just like, oh, that's kind of weird, and I don't really know what to do with that. But these two I highly recommend if you're going to go this route. So basically, Helios Creed, he's this 6'4" huge guitarist dude. Wears a hat, like a fedora kind of hat or something. I don't really remember, long hair. I've seen him a couple times. I saw him for the Lactating Purple tour and for the Kiss to the Brain tour, and I think for another tour he did. He came through Gainesville, Florida a lot, hitting the college campus where I was going to college, so I got to see him a bunch of times. To describe his music, he says in interviews, he says he got his sound from listening to Black Sabbath. See, it all comes full circle. He was listening to Black Sabbath while doing LSD, and he said he wanted to kind of recreate that feeling, that sound, that vibe or whatever through his music, through his guitar sound. So if you can imagine Black Sabbath on acid, that is Helios Creed in a nutshell. It's kind of outer space psychedelic stoner metal is basically what it is. And he does all kinds of treatments with his voice. So he doesn't like sing like straight into the microphone. He's got all kinds of, he sounds like, I don't know, Satan from outer space kind of voice. It's pretty awesome. I love him. He's fantastic. So check out Helios Creed. That's all I've got to show today. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'm going to do another vinyl finds. I've got another one to do right here, ready to go. So I'll probably either film it today and release it in a few days, or it'll be out next weekend. But anyway, hope y'all having a fantastic weekend. Stay out of the heat. It's hot as hell here in Arizona. Love you guys. Bye.